travel, a sense of adventure, learning new things, seeing new sights. Even babies, once they are fed, they go on off to explore the world. Isn't it wonderful? Aren't you tired of your job? Aren't you tired of the same old things? Going off to work, coming back, being in the same house. It's wonderful. Take a break from that. Go off to someplace else. People usually don't talk about their actual travel experiences. They say abstract things like we were in Paris, we were in Portugal, we had a great time, something like that. But let's break it down. I went to Portugal this summer. And first, of course, there is the experience of the airport. And maybe you check in before, but then you have to check in your bag. You stand in a long line. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom. Then there's the security check, which often in today's airport is very long. Then you're trapped, essentially. And so sometimes in many airports, you don't even know your gate because they want you to continue to shopping around for really, really expensive things. The airport that we passed through in London didn't even have water, didn't have coolers. I had to buy very expensive water. And then there's the flight itself, of course. And the flight itself is long. Seats are very, very crammed. You're watching bad entertainment in order to not exist, essentially, in the trip, to forget you're there. I also experience claustrophobia sometimes when I'm on flights, especially when the plane lands and you can't get out or there is some kind of delay. And then there's the trip itself. And what is the trip itself? The trip itself is usually you're in a hotel with a bad bed. Generally, your sleep is bad because you're jet lagged. But suddenly you find yourself visiting things that you would never visit ever, like churches and museums. It's interesting that you're interested in these things suddenly, because there are churches and museums where you live and you never visit them. So there you go and you visit these places. And of course, nothing changes about you specifically. It's not that you're going to develop an interest in churches and buildings and architecture and things like that. When you come back home, you totally forget about it and you go back to your usual interests. So zero effect. You also don't meet any of the people of the place, actually, or talk to them more than 5 minutes. You don't learn the language. You're not going to read a contemporary Portuguese book. You're not going to be especially interested in their culture after the trip. So essentially, the trip did not change anything about you. You didn't develop anything new with it. The cost, of course, is huge. First of all, financially. With the money that you spent on your trip, you could have went to 15 of the best restaurants wherever you usually live. You could have had various interesting experiences. You could have gone to shows. You could have saved it for your retirement. There's lots of options, but also the cost in time. It takes a lot of planning. You have to plan and look for the flight, and then look for the hotels, and then rent a car, and also be very wary of doing something bad to the car, etc., etc. So it's a lot of stress and costs involved in the travel itself. And what were you looking for in the trip? Were you looking for nature? Well, you spent a long time in airports, in planes, in cramped hotel rooms, in car rentals, in cars themselves. The amount of time that you were in nature was minimal. What were you looking for? Culture? So you went to a museum, or you visited a restaurant, a local restaurant. You could have done these at home. You could have been interested in art. You could have went to a very good restaurant where you live. Up till here, I was talking about costs for the people traveling, but we should never neglect the costs to the world as well. Maybe just three of them. First of all, tourism turns the whole world into one giant mall. If you noticed, everywhere you go, you have the same shops, the same brands. It's very, very depressing. Second is outpricing of the locals themselves. There was a recent protest in Barcelona in which local residents were spraying tourists with water. But this is a real problem. People in China, people in America are buying houses, buying apartments there, not visiting, even not living there, but outpricing the local people who can't afford this. And of course, the third problem is the cost of the environment. A relatively short flight from New York to London is almost a ton. That's 1,000 kilos or 2,000 pounds of CO2. And this is without connecting. That if you happen to live in New York and you just want to visit London. Usually you don't live in New York and you don't visit London. You fly from someplace else to New York, and then you fly from, let's say, London to another place. And the costs to the environment are huge in terms of CO2. So next time all these chic names go into your head and you're thinking Lisbon and Paris and maybe I'll go to Japan, think about what it actually entails. What is the actual experience? What's the experience traveling there? And what are the things that you're actually going to do there? And I think it will enable you to maybe just say no to many of the trips that you do. So what's the alternative? First of all, get to know the place that you live in. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of things you don't know and you haven't visited. Second, get to know new people. At the end of the day, new people is what causes us the most interest and joy in life. And third is, if you want to get to know new cultures, new worlds, read books. They can transport you to another place, another time, in a way that's much deeper often than travel.